Hi crafty friends, Shana from ShanoukiArt here. Today I'm working in my scrappy art journal. I've been wanting to make a page with a scalloped edge for a really long time, and I thought today I'm going to give it a go. I'm not sure yet what the plan is exactly, but let's see how we go. I'm going to be using my Happy Scraps ArtStacks kit. It is designed by me and available at ArtStacks. It is ready to use, so you get the actual printed papers, or if you prefer, you can purchase the digital version and download and print at home. The Happy Scraps one has got these hearts that I'm going to use, and also then a sheet of the background paper. I'm going to cut out about 4 or 5 medium-sized hearts and see how many are going to fit on the edge of the page. I will put a link to ArtStacks in the description box below. This is also a great project to use any scrap papers you have or any leftover bits from a previous project. Once my hearts are cut out, I'm going to place them sideways down the left page and see how many I need to fit in. At the moment, I'm only going to put 3 of the bright colored ones. I don't want to put them all with the Happy Scraps because it'll be too busy and you won't be able to sort of tell the difference between one and the other because they are very busy, the designs. So I want a few plainer ones. I'm just going to use this green and blue background paper, and I'm going to draw some hearts on just freehand with a Posca pen and then cut those out. These will go in between the bright colored ones. You don't have to cut it freehand. If you have a die that you can use with hearts and you want to cut them perfectly, that is also an option. You could also use other shapes for this. You could make circles or even flowers. I'm really loving hearts at the moment though. You may see them featuring in quite a few of my projects. We'll still work on the heart placement and colors, but for now I'm going to work on the background because that'll help me decide where the hearts are going to go and what colors we're going to use. I'm going to start by adding some collage paper. I'm using an old book page. I'm tearing it and using it both the right way and sideways. I like the difference it will create in the background. And there's really no right and wrong here. You can put anything you like in the background. You can also just put a plain color, whatever you prefer. I'm going to stick mine down with Mod Podge. I find that the easiest to use for myself, but you could also use craft glue or even a glue stick. Once I apply the Mod Podge to the page and I put my collage piece on top, I do add Mod Podge over the top as well because I am going to add maybe ink or some kind of watery medium on the top, and I don't want it to absorb through and create a soggy page. In a way, the Mod Podge waterproofs it. Well, to a certain extent. This piece is actually a piece I used to mop up some ink that was left over from some stenciling I did, and I really love the colors and the design, so I'm going to use that as part of my collage background. I'm now also adding some masking tape. This adds really great texture in the background. I'm basically adding the masking tape in the areas that I didn't put any collage paper down, so it's like the black and the green of my original background paper of the book. This step, of course, is optional if you don't have any masking tape or if you don't like using it in your collage. And then, of course, I'm going to add my favorite art supply, which is white gesso. Using a medium brush, I'm going to add this over my collage paper that I've added down. I'm going to make some areas a little bit more concentrated, some a bit thinner. I want it uneven and I don't want it solid. And I want to be able to still see the paper that I stuck underneath. I want that to shine through. The reason I use gesso is because I like the background to be softened, and this I feel I can get by using the gesso. It softens the entire overall feel and it pushes everything into the background. If I leave it without any gesso, I feel that it's just too bold, and any kind of focal points or work I do on top of it won't stand out as much. I really just love the look it gets when you apply a thin layer of gesso over your background. I also find it very therapeutic. Once we've applied the gesso, we're going to dry that really well. Just having a quick look to see if the hearts will be better on the right hand side, but no, I think I want them on the left. So I'm going to replace them just to get a good structure, just to see where I want to place everything and how many I'm going to need. I need another plainish one, so I'm just going to cut one out of this scrap paper. I love the green color and I love that it has the text in the background. I'm going to add a bit of a brighter color too, this purpley pink. It's actually a metallic paper, a bit difficult to see on the video. I'm going to cut out a couple of these hearts and see where I can place them. They're picking up some of the pink color that's in the Happy Scraps hearts. Once I'm happy with the placement of my hearts, I'm going to start sticking those down. For this again, I'm going to use the Mod Podge just because I find it easier to work with it. But again, you can use craft glue, gel medium, or even a glue stick. I don't remove all the hearts and then apply glue and stick them down. I sort of leave them in position so that I can remember where they go because I was quite happy with the look of them. I'm going to just lift up each one at a time, apply the Mod Podge, and then glue it back down in its position. A little trick is if you want to remember placement of your elements before you glue and you want to lift everything off or have to lift everything off before you start adding glue, you can just take a photo so you can remember where everything went. I am using my phone though to be able to make this video, so I can't also take a photo. I'm sticking the hearts down slightly in from the edge, about 1 centimeter or 2, because I do want to then cut around the hearts to make that scalloped edge, and I want the page slightly smaller. I don't really want it sticking out of the book, so I've pushed them in a bit, so once I create my scallop end, it's part of the book. Just adding a few more small hearts to add additional color. Once everything is nice and dry, I'm going to take my small scissors and cut around each heart so it creates that scalloped end. It was a little tricky because I didn't want to get my head in the view of the camera while I was filming, so I couldn't really go over the project. I was sort of doing it at an angle, but you get the idea of how you're going to do this. You can, of course, lift it up and closer to you. I'm trying to do it underneath the camera, so like I said, it's a little bit more tricky. Do whatever works for you. And there we have our scalloped edge. I'm not sure if that's what it actually is called. I'm just calling it that, but it's not a regular edge. It has the design of the hearts, and I really love it. I think the colors are also working really well. One more little heart for good luck, and then I'm going to work on the right-hand side for our focal point. Okay, maybe 2 more little hearts. What can I say? They're really cute. For the focal point on the right hand side, I'm going to use one of the big Happy Scrap hearts from my kit. I'm picking the one with some of the pinks because I really love the colors. As the design is already very busy, we don't want to add too much to it so it gets a little bit too crazy on the right hand side. I'm going to keep this one quite simple. I tried some different colors underneath which didn't really work well, and then I decided to put a little bit more onto the background. I'm using some of the tissue paper with my scribbles on. I think that'll actually tone down the green that I put in the background and will create a nice background for the happy scrap heart. Again, adding this with Mod Podge and then adding a layer of Mod Podge over the tissue paper too. And then some gesso to soften all this down too, otherwise everything will just get lost in this background. If you add too much gesso, no problem, just use a baby wipe while the gesso is still wet to wipe some off. Dry that well, and I'm going to build my focal point. I'm adding a piece of bright pink ribbon to my scrappy heart. This is a design that I did when I first made these scrappy hearts quite a while back. I will link that video in the description box below if you'd like to have a look. So I'm just attaching the piece of ribbon. In the original one, it was a piece of lace, I think, but I just like to add some additional bits to it. And I'm also going to add some buttons. I have some bright pink buttons. I thought I'll go with just the pink, but then I found the pink a bit too overpowering. So we'll just keep one pink button and see what other colors we can use. So we'll go with pink, yellow and blue. I'm now going to stick my heart down using hot glue. I'm using hot glue because my background has got quite a few layers and I think the hot glue will hold best. I could also have used Mod Podge, but I wanted to dry a little bit quicker. To give it a bit more of a standout, I'm just using a marker pen, just a black marker, to go around the heart just to make it stand out a little bit more. It's not very neat. I've gone over it several times. It looks hand-drawn, but that's the look I want. And now I'm going to stick my buttons down again with hot glue. And yes, I'm using my fingers to apply even the small buttons. I have basically asbestos fingers. I don't really feel the heat. I've had so many burns, I barely have fingerprints. So it's okay. But please do be careful and use a tweezers if you need to hold the buttons or beads while you apply the hot glue. I'm using some bright pink thread, again just the regular thread you'd use in your sewing machine, a big bunch of that on the bottom left, and I'm going to put my sentiment over this. The black sentiment I have is a little bit getting lost. Again, I want a bit of a pop, so I'm going to stick it on a piece of plain white cardstock and then cut around it, leaving about 1 millimeter or 2 just to make it pop. I'm then going to attach that again with hot glue over the top of the scrunched up thread, and then my last blue button also over the thread. If you're sticking something over your thread, you don't need to apply glue to the thread. Any glue that you use on your button or your sentiment will be enough to hold the thread down underneath. I really hope you enjoyed this video of my art journal page and were inspired to create your own. A link to my ArtStacks kits will be in the description box below. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. Don't forget to subscribe. Happy creating, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.